Good morning, Wabash. Today speaking at Pioneer Chapel is Mac Petty with this talk entitled The 1982 National Champs. Mac Petty was the Wabash College basketball coach for 35 seasons. In his time coaching, Wabash won 497 games and won the 1982 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball National Championship. Mac played college basketball at the University of Tennessee, where he won an SEC championship and was drafted by the New York Mets. Besides coaching Wabash basketball, Mac also coached 13 seasons for the Wabash Little Giants golf team. Now please join me in welcoming Mac Petty.
Good morning, Wabash. This is kind of intimidating. I haven't done this for many years. So it's neat to be called back. This is only my third time on campus. Came one time to clean out my old office up in the Armory. Second time was to get a flu shot. So this is my third time. So third time's a charm, I guess, is what we can say. I was asked if I would speak on the national championship. I didn't really have a choice. Andrew wrote to me and asked me if I'd speak. And I said, well, of course. Well, he wrote to me at the end of August for September the 17th. I was fine with that. Well, you know what happened on the 17th. We had chapel sing, and so they moved it back. So he asked about October the 8th. Well, I planned to go to Hilton Head and play golf for a week, so I couldn't do it then. So he says, what about the 16th or the 22nd? And I said, yeah, 16th would be great. Didn't really click in until I'm down in Hilton Head. Do any of you understand what October 15th means, especially to basketball? It's when basketball starts. So it's kind of coincidence, right? It's that we moved it around, and here I am speaking to you on the first day that basketball starts. And I was a basketball coach here for 35 years. And so I'm going to talk about coincidences a little bit, especially about the 1982 National Championship. Think about this. When was the college formed? 1832. 1982. We're celebrating 150 years. Now, I told people that, and they said, it's just a coincidence that it happened then. Yeah, okay, you can have it as that, but there's some other things that seem to be interesting. There's one thing I'll talk about. It's the third time's a charm that I already mentioned about coming here. And the last coincidence that they say is a coincidence is Pete Metzlars was from Michigan. The regional tournament and the national championship were played 50 miles from Pete's hometown. Was that supposed to happen? Was it a coincidence? I'm wondering. I arrived in 1976, as it was said, and when I got here, Wabash basketball had gone 15 consecutive years without a winning season. Now, we didn't have internet back then, and so I didn't really contemplate that. I was moving here. I'm from Ohio, moving here to get closer to my family. My parents, our children were 8 and 5, and so I felt it was a great move. And first 2 years, I thought I'd committed professional suicide because we didn't win. The attitude on campus was not very good from 1961 to 76, I'm telling you. You don't understand because you've come here or are here and you recognize the success that our athletic programs have had for the last 20 years. But it wasn't that way, not at all. And so it was difficult. And so if you want to read more about it or understand that history, go to John Kersey's book. Go to John Kersey, Glory Reborn. It'll tell you about, from that time to the mid-'80s, about what happened through there. Now, a little bit of background. Okay, lost the first 2 years. recruited some really good players. And 1980, we went to the national tournament, first time in 20 years. 1981, we went the second time to the national tournament. We graduated 6 seniors in 81, and they went 54-20 in those 3 years. Now think about it. We hadn't had a winning season in 15, and so we go 54-20. They set the tone. They set the tone. But the 82 team, because of the 6 graduating seniors, I had 2 seniors coming back, Pete Metzlars and Mike Holcomb. The rest of the guys were inexperienced, played JV ball, came off the bench a little bit the previous years, but not much experience. Now, I need to tell you about Pete Metzlars because he's probably one of the finest athletes that Wabash has ever produced. Pete was 6'6", 210 when he came here. When he graduated, he was 6'8", 250 pounds. Always credited with great coaching. Thought that, none of those other things were material, but Pete was unbelievable as an individual as well as an athlete. Now, we started October the 15th with practice. Pete wasn't there at practice. Pete was playing football. We played football up until the second week of November, and you know who we played the last game of the season, all right? Well, that week before the DePaul game, I told Pete, I said, look, we're going to have practice on Sunday after the game, but you don't have to be there. Come and watch, see what we're doing. And I had to make a lot of changes from the previous year. The teams that played, we played a different way because of the athleticism and the depth that we had. And see, both Metzlars and Holcomb both started on those teams, played on those teams a lot. So I had to make some changes, with that. So telling Pete that, getting ready for practice, and I go up from the locker room upstairs and go in the door to Chadwick Court and look, there's Pete on Sunday after the DePaul game. Now, the bad thing about that was that our football team was 9-0 going into that game and lost that game. I'll never forget that game. I never missed a Moni Bell game, but I'll never forget that one because we're expected to win. Plus, we thought maybe we'd still get a bid to the NCAA tournament. And the DePaul athletic director, former football coach, was on the committee and voted us down. So here we are, practice, and Pete's there. You could see a whole difference in the guys that were on the floor with Pete being there because he was a hell of a player. Okay. We went through the first part of the season to Christmas, and we were 5-1. We had lost 1 game at home to Hope College in overtime. So we're 5-1 at Christmas. I had made a trip, plans to go to Texas for Christmas break trip. On the way down, we played Louisiana Tech. Now, we played Louisiana Tech, Division I. We played Texas A&I, a Division I NAIA team, and the University of Texas San Antonio Division I school. Okay, Louisiana Tech, they were big, they were strong, had a 7-foot center. The announcer came on when the jump ball came, said, everybody stand until Wabash scores and cheer. Metzlars gets the tip on the 7-footer. Pass the ball around, Holcomb knocks down a jumper and sits the crowd down. Unbelievable. We're playing with them. Okay, halfway through the game, we had a little play, and Pete ducked into the post to get a pass thrown to him, and he turns to go up to shoot the ball, and the 7-foot center's there to block it. Pete kicks his feet, goes up, takes the ball behind his head, and dunks over the guy and throws him on the floor. I mean, our whole bench, I think, jumped that high off the floor. You couldn't believe the momentum. Now, we lost. We didn't have the depth. We lost to them. We lost to Texas A&I in overtime. They were 7 foot and 6'11" in their post area. Lost to them in overtime. San Antonio, University of Texas San Antonio, we lost to them as well. So now we're 5-4. We're on the plane coming home, and I'm sitting in an aisle seat, and across the aisle, one row back, Pete's sitting there. He said, "Hey, Coach." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Coach," he said, "after thinking about the trip and how we played, I think we can win the rest of our games." I said, "Really?" I said, "You know who we play Wednesday when we get home? We get home on Sunday. We got a game Wednesday against Old Indiana Central, which is University of Indianapolis now. Division II, scholarships, and we have to play them." We beat them 81-64. Pete cleaned the kids off the street, guys. I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. Okay, now, at that time, we're in the North Coast Athletic Conference. At that time, we were not in a conference. There were no conferences. There were only 32 teams selected to go to the NCAA tournament. And so we had to be an independent to get a bid. And so it was really difficult. The first year we went in 80, we got a bid. We won 20 games. Next year, we won 19, got a bid. This year, we had won 14 games in a row. All right? We're 19-4, and they told us, and I was on the regional selection committee, they told me, for your team to get in, you got to win your last 2 games against Rose-Hulman and DePaul to get in. And we've won that many games in a row. Well, we took care of business. We beat Rose 100-55 and DePaul 69-59. They tried to hold the ball down, keep us from doing things. We got in. We got in. Now, the regionals in 80 and 81 were held at Wittenberg. And it was terrible to play there. First year we went, we lost to Wittenberg. They went all the way to the national championship and lost in the championship game. The second year we played Otterbein, the first game, lost to them. And back then it wasn't the North Coast, as I said. Wittenberg and those teams belonged to the Ohio Conference. So we played Otterbein. They went all the way to the national championship and lost in the championship game. So here it is, the third time. I said third time's charm. The third time, Hope gets to host. It's not at Wittenberg. I'm thinking, holy cow. Didn't realize it. An hour away from Pete's home. So we go to Hope and play. We play Ohio Northern, who won the Ohio Conference Championship in the first round. Now, I was on the selection committee, and the group started talking about who should be player of the year in our region. And they're giving these names. Ohio Northern is talking about their 6'7" center, how great he is, and all the other coaches who are basically from Ohio, saying the same thing. I said, well, I got a pretty good guy. And one coach said, yeah, but all he does is shoot layups and dunk. I said, hell, you must have been a guard. You never played basketball, played on the inside. I said, he does a pretty good job. Now, if I could give you the stats on Pete, go on Chadwick Court. There's a picture of him on the wall with his stats. The guy averaged 75% from the field. Okay? There's not many guys that do that. But that was the way he was. Okay? Now, when we went to Texas, he averaged, against those guys, he averaged over 20 points a game and over 10 rebounds a game against those Division I players. That's the kind of player he was. So we play Ohio Northern. Now, this is the start of spring break. No students are on campus. Our team is staying here and we're practicing. And so we have to get ready for Ohio Northern. That's the first weekend before the spring break started. Play Ohio Northern. Their great player guarded Metzlars for 3 minutes. Pete scored 30 points on him in the game. Beat him 81-61. So now we're playing the championship game against Hope, who beat us earlier in the year in overtime at home. That's a tough game. Beat him 82-70. We had some guys really step up. Pete got in some foul trouble, and Guys really stepped up. Jim Beagle came off the bench, did a super job. Merlin Nice was one of our players. The start of the tournament, he hit every free throw. At the end of the tournament, he had hit 26 consecutive free throws through the tournament. The regional, the quarterfinals, and the championship. Okay, this is what's interesting. I told you we're on spring break. The weekend following, all right, are the quarterfinals. We get notification from the NCAA that we get to host the quarterfinals. Now, is it coincidence? I mean, Wabash has never hosted an NCAA tournament. Maybe a semifinal back in 1960, 61, when it was college division, it was Division III at that time. We get to host for spring break. I've got a video of it. I wish I could show you what the crowd was like. Now, Chadwick back then was not the same as it is now. The interior is different. We brought in end zone bleachers, and the bleachers went down both the north and the south sides, okay? It was packed with people from the community, but our students came back. I wish you could have seen it. It was unbelievable. We have to play Augustana College for the regional to go on to the national championship. Augustana had been in the national championship the year before and lost in overtime to Potsdam State. So here's a team that's back. Their sixth man, they were returning, their sixth man was the MVP of the national championship and his team. He was their sixth man. He wasn't starting. That's how good they were. I told my assistant coach, if they score over 70 points, we can hang it up. We beat them 54-51. Metzlars and Holcomb led the team, hit free throws. It was fantastic. So now here we go, national championship. Calvin College gets to host it in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 50 miles from Pete's hometown. Now you get a guy that comes here from Michigan, goes to school, and all of a sudden he's playing in the regional championship in his home state, 50 miles from home. Now he's going to play in a national championship, same place. But that's a coincidence. It's a coincidence. How many of you know what Honor Scholarship Weekend is? Anybody know what Honor Scholarship Weekend is? Just a couple. All right. We used to have Honor Scholarship Weekend when we'd bring 300 guys on campus who would take tests. Friday and Saturday and stay on campus of recruiting time, test time, Honor Scholarship Weekend. You get tests, you get scholarships from the tests. Big weekend. The fraternities had a policy that if a guy left campus, charge him $50. Didn't seem to deter our guys from coming up and watching the national championship, I'll tell you what. And you know what they did? Over on Crawford Street and Wabash Avenue, where the Delt House, the Sigma Chi House was on that corner at that time. The Phi Psis and the Vedas, they closed the street. They put their boom boxes and speakers out the windows, and they listened to the game and partied, those that didn't go up to Grand Rapids for the national championship. We had our pep band there. Pep band was unbelievable. In fact, they played for Brooklyn College in the consolation game. After our championship game, the dean of the college from Brooklyn came down and bought us champagne to thank us for our pep band. That's Wabash. That's Wabash. The fans, I wish you could, they showed this, they showed the video of the game, and our fans were just super. First game was against the University of California, Stanislaus. They played nothing but a Division II schedule in California because there's not that many Division III schools out there. We beat them 68-64, but we were behind toward the end of the game, last 6-7 minutes, something like that. Well, a coaching friend of mine had sent me a scouting report and told me that Stanislaus, when they get ahead, they go into a four-corner stall. So I got with the team that week in preparation, and we put in a half-court trap to get them out of the stall. I didn't know if it would work. I just had to try to do something to prepare us to get ready for the game, and those guys made it work. We got back in the ball game. Pete in that ball game went 9 for 10 from the field. 9 for 10 from the field. The one he missed was a dunk. He had never played on breakaway rims. He went up to dunk it, wrist, boom, threw it down, let go of the ball, rim popped back up and threw the ball out of the basket. That's the one he missed. And he again, the points that he had were unbelievable. So get this. Guess who we're playing for the championship? Potsdam State, returning national champion. Some of their players are back from the previous year. One of their players that's back hit the last-second shot to beat Augustana for the national championship. Unbelievable game, unbelievable crowd. Now, you got to understand, we played on Friday night against Stanislaus. We're going to play on Saturday night against Potsdam, and you have 1 hour practice before the game. Now, this is how much these guys were tuned in. Potsdam plays a 1-3-1 zone. We hadn't seen a 1-3-1 zone all year. We had 1 hour to make adjustments. That's how tuned in they were, though they did, and what we did. So we played Potsdam. First half is kind of close. At the end of the half, we're up by about 9 points. And Metzlar's had 9 points, and their leading scorer had 9 points. I give my halftime talk, and then Pete stands up. Guys, we're not going to lose this. He was like an airplane hanger, all right? He just kind of put his arms out and just get on. He ended up scoring 45 points for the game and 17 rebounds. We beat them 83-62, the previous national champions. It was unbelievable. People ask me about that team. I kind of made it like it was a Broadway play sort of thing. In other words, you see the marquee out there and you see the stars that people want to see. Okay, you got Pete Metzlar, Mike Holcomb. Then you got your supporting staff. But you know what? A successful Broadway play doesn't go just because of the stars. It's because of the supporting group. It's those that help them, those that make it. I mean, that was all the way from those two guys all the way down to our JV team. Because of practice and what they committed as far as the team was concerned. And we had 2 great senior leaders. For those of you that, now I think you're doing it right now. I thought about this and I used this those years. I found this. Coming together is a beginning. And that's what you did this year. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. That's what you're doing. Last, working together is success. And that's what you need to do, is have success through this year with all that's going on. So I ask you, was it supposed to happen or was it a coincidence? October 15th today, coincidence. I mean, I could have spoke on the 17th if we didn't have chapel sing, all right? I could have gone the 8th if I hadn't been in Hilton Head, but somehow it worked on the 16th. Worked out. Basketball time, 1832 to 1982, 150 years. Coincidence. See, I think all the stars were lining up, okay? We're lining up. How about the third time's a charm? We'd gone 2 years in the NCAA tournament. The third year, we get to go and make it. And then Pete's hometown, being 50 miles away. Now, he mentioned it, and I'm pretty sure about this. I don't think it's changed. We're the only Division III school in Indiana that's won basketball national championship. I bring you this history. I hope you're proud of it. I know it's a long time ago. Hell, I was only 36 years old when that happened, okay? It brings back fond memories. I wish I could tell you more stories. I mean, there are other coincidences. I need to talk to Jonathan Bear about my prayers. I read the Indianapolis Star every morning, and on the front page was a prayer. And I'd just start my day by reading that prayer. Didn't really pay attention to it. That's another story in this whole story about the 1982 National Championship. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to be here to speak to you. God be with you, in all that you do, and keep doing what you're doing. Do it the best you can. Thank you.